It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the films of February 8th, 2002. We've got 3 films to look at today. Like I said at the end of last week's, the last episode I did, this episode is going to feature pretty much a shit sandwich, pretty much, because you've got two movies as the bread that are really, really terrible and not that great, and then you have this one movie in the middle that's probably the best thing about the entire sandwich. Even though the third part of the sandwich, there's some aspects of it that are kind of interesting. You'll see what I mean when we get to that. But let's talk about this first movie we have here, and that is Arnold Schwarzenegger in a new film from the director of The Fugitive, and that is Collateral Damage. In the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays a Los Angeles firefighter who seeks to avenge his son's and wife's deaths at the hand of a guerrilla commander who travels to Colombia and faces his family's killers. You also have Elias Koteas in here, Cliff Curtis, John Leguizamo, and John Turturro. This is directed by Andrew Davis, who did The Fugitive, and was a pretty good action director when you really look at his filmography in general. He does not make a lot of terrible movies, but there's a reason why this is considered possibly Arnold Schwarzenegger's worst movie as an action star, and that's saying a lot because he's made some bad movies, but even the bad movies he's been in, stuff like Batman and Robin, or even something like Jingle All the Way, those are the movies that are the fun kind of bad. Like, he knows what his roles are in those movies and has fun with it. This is probably the single worst thing he's ever done, and I don't know. I don't know why this movie is. I think I know why it is, but it's just a boring movie. It's a very generic movie. I mean, this is the literal definition of a generic-ass movie, action movie, because it's a plot that really does not have a whole lot there. Like, I guess he's trying to do something similar to something like Commando, but even Commando was a so bad it's good movie. It's a movie that knows exactly what it is. It knows how ridiculous it is, and it knows how to have fun with its premise and its entire material. This is just plain garbage. I mean, this is a boring movie, and I don't know why. It just didn't work as well as I think it should. I mean, it's a movie what I feel like should have so much more to it, and it just doesn't have it, man. But then again, probably the September 11th attacks had an effect on it. Maybe there was something big planned for this movie, because this was originally supposed to come out not but 3 weeks before September 11th. I mean, this movie had a trailer that was basically showing a major bomb attack in the United States. It was supposed to come out on October 5th of 2001, but it was postponed because of the September 11th attacks, and Warner Brothers basically removed the movie from the websites, radio stations, TV, movie theaters, because they had promos already out there. All the trailers and posters were basically recalled, and so they basically redid the film all over again, and they had to redo the ending all over again. And apparently Sofia Vergara actually had a role in this movie as an airplane hijacker. However, that was cut from the movie as well, which not gonna lie, I probably would have liked to have seen that. Maybe it's on the DVD. I don't know. I wanted to see what Sofia Vergara was like as an airplane hijacker. I feel like that. It could either be really interesting because it would be so out of character for her, or it could be really, really bad. But yeah, part of me thinks that maybe because of September 11th and the fact that they had to change the ending around, basically, I think that may have hurt the film in the long run. But even then, nothing about the rest of the movie really made it that interesting. It's a boring movie. It's a film that, a movie like this needs to have the Arnold Schwarzenegger that we know and love about him. Like the fact that he can be the action star and know that he knows he doesn't need to take himself too seriously, and knows that he has the quippy one-liners and has the fun action sequences to work around him. He can make it work. Like Eraser is a movie that's not that great, but that movie still has a lot of things about it that are really, really fun. The climax when he takes out the bad guys with a train and he calls James Caan on the phone. It's just like, you've just been erased, and like that stuff like that works. Like I said, Batman and Robin, Jingle All the Way. Those are movies that know how to use Schwarzenegger, even though the movies are not that good to begin with. This is a movie that just feels really, really dull and really, really boring. And for Andrew Davis, who is a really solid action director and has made some pretty good movies, this is not one of his better movies. This is a really, really boring movie on a number of different levels, and it just didn't work. I mean, it's not a good movie. It's a really, really bad movie. It's a boring film. It's not that interesting. It's not that engaging. You expect so much more with Arnold Schwarzenegger involved, and it's just not there, man. And it's a shame because a good, fun, bad Arnold Schwarzenegger movie can really be a good, fun time. But this is certainly not that movie in particular, and it's you can feel the effects of it in this big time. So that's Collateral Damage. So let's go ahead and look at probably the overall best film we have this weekend. It's one you really would not expect to be that way. Frankie Muniz, Amanda Bynes, and Paul Giamatti in Big Fat Liar. Like I said, a movie that you probably would not expect to work in any way, shape, or form because it looks like a goofy kids comedy, but at the same time, that's kind of the charm of it. I think the filmmakers that made this movie pretty much knew that was what they were going into here. You basically have a storyline here where you have a plot that's very similar to The Boy Who Cried Wolf, where Frankie Muniz is a 14-year-old compulsive liar whose creative writing assignment is called Big Fat Liar, and it's stolen by an arrogant Hollywood producer, played by Paul Giamatti, who later plans to use it to make the fictional film of the same name. And so the chase is on to get revenge on him with the help of his friend, played by Amanda Bynes, which... God, I miss seeing Amanda Bynes and stuff again. I mean, unfortunately, her career kind of took a downward spiral after a little bit. There were times when her career was trying to get back on track, but unfortunately, she's just been in the situation where like things haven't worked out in their favor. But movies like this make me miss Amanda Bynes. She was usually very good in most of the stuff she was in, but unfortunately, I mean, last I heard she had some substance abuse problems, mental problems as well. But I'm looking on here, and it looks like she has kind of slowly but surely started to come back. According to Wikipedia, I see here that she has become a manicurist. So, I mean, maybe this is a sign that she's heading back in the right direction again. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But all I know is that whenever she was on screen as an actress, she was usually very good. There's a reason why they gave her own sketch comedy show, because she does have a lot of comedic potential, and she would definitely show it throughout much of this decade in the 2000s. But as far as the movie goes, this is a really fun movie. It's a movie that knows how... It's the complete opposite of what Collateral Damage is. It knows exactly what kind of a movie it is. It knows it basically wants to appeal to kids, but knows that the adults need to have some fun with it as well. And I think Ryan Robbins and Dan Snyder, who wrote the script for this, did a pretty good job of handling that. And Sean Levy, who I really liked as a director, he knows how to make fun movies in general. Like, I like a lot of his movies that he directed. I mean, I like this movie. I really like Just Married, which I thought was a silly, fun movie. I thought Cheaper by the Dozen was really good. I'm one of the few people that really likes the first Steve Martin Pink Panther movies. The Night at the Museum films can be fun at times. Date Night's pretty good. Real Steel. The worst thing I think he's ever directed overall was The Internship. That was just a bad movie in general. But overall, I really like him as a director, and like, he knows what he needs to do to entertain people. And this is one of those movies where I think it does a very good job of handling that. And everybody in here is a lot of fun to watch. Frankie Muniz and Amanda Bynes have some really good fun chemistry together. Paul Giamatti's a great fun villain. You have Donald Faison, Sandra Oh, Lee Majors has a role in here as well. A really solid cast here in general, and it's just a silly, fun movie that knows exactly what it's trying to do. They gave Jaleel White a big role in this movie, which is actually really fun to see here. And I don't know, man. I thought it was a ton of fun. It's one of those movies where you look at it and you think, okay, this is one of those ones that could easily be a film that gets kind of, pushed. It's a big hit when it comes out, and then when you watch it 20 years later, it's not going to hold up as well. This one surprisingly held up much better than I thought it did. And, yeah, I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed this movie. It's a really fun film. I enjoy it a lot. Big Fat Liar. Definitely a good, fun movie. Not a classic by any means, but still a really fun movie that I do recommend checking out. If you're looking for a good, fun time on a Saturday afternoon, you can find a lot to really admire about this movie. There is a lot of good charm to this film. So with that said, let us move on to our last film, and that is Rollerball. The movie that literally sent the director to jail, and that's not a joke. John McTiernan was actually sent to federal prison for making a false statement to the FBI investigator about 4 years after the movie came out about his hiring of a private investigator to illegally wiretap the producer of the film, Charles Roven, who coincidentally just won the Oscar this week for the Best Picture for Oppenheimer. But he was the producer on this film as well when this movie was produced in August of 2000. McTiernan had been in a disagreement with Roven about what type of film Rollerball should be, and had hired Pelicano to investigate Roven's intentions and actions. And Dude spent a whole year in prison, and basically, he had one more movie after this, but after that, his career was pretty much over and done with. And even if that had not happened, and this movie probably would have killed John McTiernan's career anyway. But it's a remake of the 1975 film of the same name, and this time it features a much greater focus on action with more muted social and political overtones than the original. It takes place in the present rather than a future dystopian society. Oh, and it's PG-13, and I believe the original Rollerball was rated R, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's dead on arrival right from the get-go, and that should have been the first warning sign right there, that they were doing a PG-13 remake of an R-rated classic, a cult classic, if you will. But no, it gets even worse. Your leading stars are the dude from American Pie, not Jason Biggs, not Sean William Scott, not Eddie K. Thomas, Chris Klein. And then there's also LL Cool J and Rebecca Romaine Stamos. And if you're trying to sell a movie just on those three alone in 2002, yeah, it's not going to work out for you. This is a movie that is notoriously known for being as bad as it is. It's a movie that you can kind of tell that they don't have any idea what the tone is. You have the tone of the producer of The Fast and the Furious and the director of Die Hard, two clearly different visions of what this movie was supposed to be. And this thing went through massive reshoots, massive re-edits. This thing was supposed to come out in 2001 and was delayed until 2002 because they had to shoot down all the stuff. They had to cut down all the violence and nudity because of the PG-13 rating, which, again, that should have been the first warning sign. 9 times out of 10, when you try to make a remake of an R-rated movie PG-13, it's going to fail. There's only been a few exceptions. Specifically, the one I think of the most is The Longest Yard, the 2005 one, but we'll eventually get to that one in a couple of years. But this is a really bad movie. If there's one thing about this movie that I will say that is very fun to watch, it's John Reno playing Alexei Petrovich. In this movie, he is so keen on getting a cable deal, and he says it like, "Did get that North American cable deal?" He's the only one in this movie that I thought was having the most fun with it, and it's a performance that's just so over the top, it's so corny, but he's the one that's actually giving this film some life to it, because everything else about this movie is just garbage. I mean, it's a movie that's just such a mess, but it has that one little bright spot with John Reno going as over the top as he can to make this somewhat enjoyable, and he tries his best, and by God he tries his best, but it's just, in the end, it doesn't even matter because the movie itself is just a complete waste of time. Like I said, PG-13 remake of an R-rated movie. Should have been the Death Note right from the get-go. But, yeah. So not much more to say about that one. That is Rollerball. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we'll take a look at 5 movies on President's Day weekend, including Denzel Washington's latest film, John Q. Britney Spears gives it a shot at acting with Crossroads. We have the Peter Pan sequel, Return to Neverland. Bruce Willis stars in Heart's War. And also Broken Lizard brings us their first feature film to the big screen, Super Troopers. So we'll take a look at those 5 films next time. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the place on the next page, check out the previous episode, and also don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this on this channel. So with that said, I am off, I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, take care.